That was sexy. All right, welcome back, Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. We're starting a little bit late today because we just got done watching the end of the Brewers game. The Brewers did just beat the San Diego Padres, closed out the win, so they finished off win number 96, tying the franchise record. So the Brewers, they have 3 games this upcoming weekend with the Cincinnati Reds at home. They only need to win 1 to set a new franchise record, so that's what we're going to be looking for. With that said, today we have 8 baseball games to discuss, and to be honest, it's not going to be a super in-depth recap of these 8 games because we're going to discuss some of the contextual things that go along with these as the Brewers are nearing the playoffs. There's more context to be discussed than I think there needs to be individual takeaways from the games like we really normally do. And then it's going to be kind of a similar situation when we get to Badgers football, so we're going to discuss that as well. But let's get it going with the Brewers, starting with the Angels series right after we hit the intro.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Alrighty, so as I said, we're going to go through the Brewers' last 8 games, starting with last Wednesday evening against the Angels. And Jake, you can give me the couple thoughts that you have on last Wednesday.
Yeah, so back-to-back 9-2 wins for the Brewers. Nice little easy cruises to some victories here. And Brandon Woodruff's on the mound for this one. 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 9 Ks. He threw 69 pitches. Nice. 52 of them for strikes. So that's why, when you see him go on the 15-day IL, which, I haven't found any updates on his injury. I don't know if you have or not.
The latest that I saw was that he was visiting with his surgeon yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
I would imagine we'll get something soon. Mm-hmm. But that is the latest that I saw was he was visiting with the guy that did his shoulder surgery yesterday.
Yeah. And, Pat Murphy, what did he call it? Moderate, I believe.
Moderate.
Yep. So hopefully some good news on Woody, but that's the reason that we need a guy like Woody in the playoffs. He fills up the strike zone. He gets quick, easy outs, and he can give you 5-6 innings every time he's out there. So absolutely hoping, especially after everything he's been through, not just for the team success, but, for his personal success too. Would love to see him pitch a couple games in the playoffs. Couple meaning like 5 or 6 because we're going to go to the World Series, right? Nick Mears comes in for Woodruff. He gets an inning, gives up 1 earned run. Both of those were solo shots, I believe. Fetty pitched 2 innings, and Uribe pitched an inning. So Bowers knocked out the Angels starter early with a line drive, a 98-mile-an-hour sinker. He reached on an infield single on that. The ball hit off his forearm.
I think it actually hit him in the rib cage, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, they call it a forearm contusion, I guess. Angels reliever Connor Brogdon came in and gave up an Oppo 2-run single on a 2-2 pitch from Perkins and a 3-run homer from Frelick to give Milwaukee an early 5-0 lead. So that's what the Brewers do, right? They grind.
I'm just jumping on that home run because Sal Frelick fouled off 4 straight pitches before hitting that home run.
Yeah, that's what Sal Frelick does, right?
Yeah, that's a grind at bat right there.
So that talking about grinding in at bat, that's what the Brewers usually do. They grind out your starting pitching, and then they get to your bullpen, and then that's when they attack, right? The crew does it again. They certainly do, Justin. After that 5-0 lead, where am I on my notes? Yeah, 5-0 lead. Innings 3 through 5, 0 runs, 0 hits for the Brewers. Angels got 2 solo shots from Ward in the 4th and the 6th inning. Brewers got a run on a wild pitch in the bottom of the 6th and a bases clearing triple from Perkins in the 8th. Bases were loaded off of 3 straight walks from Yelly, Terang, and Durbin. Absolutely phenomenal stuff by the Brewers. The bullpen did their job. This was a nice, easy win. Perkins, his triple was the 2nd of the year. He's up to 19 RBIs, and he had 5 in this game, which tied his career high. So very nice job by him. He had three of his RBI, 3 of his 5 RBIs were with 2 outs. Frelick, all 3 of his RBIs with 2 outs. So 6 of the 9 runs were with 2 outs. So nicely done by the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, and you mentioned Woodruff, and he had the 9 strikeouts in the 5 innings that he pitched, 69 pitches. That didn't really signal to me that there was going to be any big issues. I believe the strain ended up being reported when he was doing his bullpen work in between his starts. Was when the lat strain popped up, or the oblique strain popped up. I just want to say this. It does end his regular season, so that to me was just kind of like a transaction that needed to be made because they sent Woodruff to the injured list to call up Robert Gosser. It doesn't. Not everything has to be the worst case scenario right away. And people, I talked to Jake about this. I'm like I said, people did the exact same thing when Christian Yelich got scratched with back soreness. Like, oh, he's done for the year.
Yep.
He was done for 4 days.
Yep.
So the Brewers are not, after the regular season is over, they're not going to have another game until October 4th. Brandon Woodruff's injury is retroactive, I believe, to the 18th, I want to say. It would have been last Wednesday. Or no. That would have been last
It was last Wednesday.
Oh, no. That's last Thursday. Geez, I don't know what I'm thinking. Last Wednesday would have been the 17th. I believe the injury was retroactive to the 18th, which puts them into early October. So if it's the 15-day minimum, he's going to be fine for the opening round. If they want to give him the opening round off and have him pitch game 4 or 5 of the NLDS, they could do that. They could have him out until the NLCS. That's all workable. But assuming that he's going to be done for the rest of the season, I think is a pretty nihilistic viewpoint to have on it. Now, the other thing that I want to give credit to is Eric Fetty. He pitched again today, which we'll talk about. But 2 scoreless innings, I think I am convinced that I would rather keep Eric Fetty in the bullpen over, say, Tobias Myers.
That's a discussion to be had.
With him in the relief role. Now, if we need a spot starter, then I might take Tobias Myers over Eric Fetty. But that's one of the things we're going to have to see about a week from now. We're going to do some playoff roster predictions and things like that. So, going into the 3rd game of the Angels series, Quinn Priester was fantastic. The first 6 batters he faced, all of them were strikeouts. 8 of the first 9 were strikeouts. He did give 2 runs by hanging a breaking ball for a home run. Going into the top of the 6th, if Mike Trout gets rung up like he should have, Quinn Priester will likely finish his 6 innings for a quality start. But, Mike Trout gets the call over Quinn Priester. He finishes 5 2/3 with 3 hits. Did have 2 walks. Only one of them scored, and had 10 strikeouts. 19 straight wins now in Quinn Priester games. Caleb Durbin drove in both of the Brewers' first 2 runs, both of those with 2 outs. Joey Ortiz got another crack at the bases loaded. He swung and popped up on what would have been ball 3. But what I want to say with this is people are like, oh my God, why did Joey Ortiz have so many at-bats with runners in scoring position, runners, with the bases loaded? It should be somebody else. And it's not even something that we need to be like, why isn't Joey Ortiz doing better? It's something we need to be like, okay, the 6, 7, 8 hitters, give those guys a pat on the back for getting on base so much. That's where the focus needs to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In the bottom of the 7th inning last Thursday, Jackson Chourio smoked a ground rule double over the center fielder. Then, with the center fielder then playing deep on the next ball, couldn't make a play on a 3-1 line drive to center field. Ended up being a single, and then made a bad throw to home on top of it, and let Bryce Durang get to second base after Contreras walked. Christian Yelich hits a double, driving in his 100th run of the season, which is awesome to see. And Andrew Vaughn hit a sac fly to make it a 3-run inning for the Brewers. I also want to give credit in this game to Caleb Durbin and Blake Perkins for their defense. Blake Perkins is absolutely going to be on the playoff roster. He's going to be a defensive substitution. And with this, the Brewers got their 12th sweep of the season. That is a league-leading 12 sweeps. So what did you take away from last Thursday?
Damn, I thought I could sneak that 12th sweep over your head.
You took Blake Perkins tying his career high in RBI in game 2, so I was getting the 12 sweeps for game 2.
That's completely fair, brother. So like you said, Priester did strike out 8 of his first 9. He didn't allow a base runner until the 5th inning when he allowed a walk and then a home run. That was really the only 2 mistakes that he made. in that game, in my opinion. Outside of those two, I wrote that he was special again. He was really, really good. He's probably been our second best starter this season, I would say, outside of Freddie.
I mean, if we're looking at it like from the playoff starting lens, it's going to be Peralta, Priester.
Yeah, those are going to be the first two. Yeah.
Yep.
So on top of that, Brewers were losing 2-1 when Priester was pulled. I think that's something important that should be talked about. They did come back and tie the game. So what I wrote down is no runs or hits for either team through 2.5 innings. Brewers scored in fourth from a Vaughn double, Collins grounder, and moved in the third, and good hustle from Durbin to give the Brewers a 1-0 lead. I always like to point out hustle and good defense, man. Those are two things that can't be taught. Those are some of those things that you can teach good defense. I guess you can watch film and stuff, but some guys just have a feel for it. You know what I'm saying? And those are two things where you have control over your body, right? You can hustle and make a diving catch, or you can hustle to first base. Those are the few things that you have control over. After the 1-0 lead, Durbin comes up clutch again for the Crew in the sixth to tie the game with a single to score Yelly, who got on with a single of his own. So nice job by Yelly and Durbin combining to tie the game. Brewers were great in the seventh. First of all, they had a fucking crazy catch from Blake Perkins, dude. That was insane, dude. I watched that probably about 15 times. I was so sick. And then Churio, like you said, smoked the ground rule double. Turang, RBI, Contreras walk, Yelly double, and Vaughn sack fly. And just like that, I wrote at a snap of a finger, the Brewers score 3 runs on you before you can even look up. And that's what makes this team great. The pitching, the defense, the hustle, and they could put big innings together. And, it's new faces that are doing all this stuff, right? Like the Durbins and the Vaughns. And today we had another guy that's a new face to this team this year that, was producing runs. And it's just something there's just something special going on in Milwaukee this year, man. I know some fans are kind of getting down because they're like, oh, we're losing a bunch of games late in the season. And it's like, contextually, I need you to take a step back from your fandom and really understand what's going on.
That's what we're going to do.
Basically
today when we discuss these games, let's save context. There's
okay.
Plenty of it to get to. Let's run through these games quick. Cardinals series, Cardinals game 1. Let's start with that one.
Yeah, so Mizorowski, 3 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned, and 3 walks. He also had 3 Ks. Big Z came in for a third of an inning, got roughed up a little bit. Anderson got roughed up. So that inning combined for them, they gave up 7 hits and 5 runs. Those are 2 guys that honestly maybe Z because he's lefty, but Anderson not even a thought. But I don't think Z either. Yeah, I don't think so either. I think this game kind of put the nail in the coffin for Z. He was on a little bit of he's a little streaky. He was on a little bit of a heater there for a little bit where I was like, maybe. But then, this is, like I said, probably the nail in the coffin. Piamps, obviously, we know that he got DFA'd and picked up by Atlanta, if I remember correctly, right? And then Tobias Myers, he's another guy that's kind of a fringe guy. He's been pretty goddamn good in the bullpen. He's had, like, a couple outings where he got roughed up, but he's a fringe guy for me. I'll have to look into it a little bit deeper. But Brewers, this is what I wrote down. Brewers had 12 hits. They were 0 for 8 runners in scoring position compared to St. Louis, who was 6 for 18. Still played some solid defense as they turned 3 double plays and got an outfield assist from Jackson Churio. Learning curve for the Miz. You can have the velocity. You can have all the spin rate that you want. But if you don't have the command, it's not going to matter. He sometimes misses a foot outside. And then when he's trying to really dial it in, then he catches a whole chunk of the plate. And that's the stuff where they're going to be able to hit 1 billion miles an hour. They're professional baseball players. They're not there by mistake. Baseball is one of the few sports where merit actually matters a lot. You have to earn your way up the ranks, like quite literally. So for the Miz, this is just one of those things where you have a young, talented guy, and you're just, as a fan, you're going to have to sit back and you're just going to have to enjoy the ride. You're going to have to let them drive this Maserati very carefully and guide him through some of these starts. And that's just what you're going to have to deal with. His role in the playoffs is going to be something that maybe none of us see, honestly. Is he going to be a starter? A starter, or is he going to be a long relief guy? I would lean more towards the Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff style of stuff that they've done with those guys, where they, after Corbin Burns was good in the playoffs for that, was that 2018? Is that 2018?
Yeah, because then 2019 was his bad year.
Yeah. Then, he took his lumps in, like you said, in 2019. And then after that is when he started to kind of turn it on a little bit. But, I think a bullpen role would probably fit him a little bit best. So he don't have so many high leverage situations like back to back to back. Let him just eat one inning of high leverage so he gets used to that anxiety.
On the subject of Mizorowski, that you discussed you kind of have to put up with some of this, some of that.
Yes.
I think we, obviously as Packers fans, we have a similar thing with Christian Watson, except the thing instead of command you're putting up with is you're going to be putting up with soft tissue injuries. It's just one of those things that comes with crazy athleticism is you have to be able to take the good with the bad.
Yep.
Christian Watson's a 6'4" dude that can run past everybody and make fast people look slow.
Yeah.
Very true. That's not something you can just keep on the tracks at all times. If you did, he'd be a better version of Jamar Chase and that he's taller. But you have to deal with some of that stuff. It's not always going to be the 100% ideal scenario. So my thing with Jacob Mizorowski is with the 2 walks that he had in the bottom of the first, one of them came around to score and his command was iffy. That leads me to think that the Brewers won't use him necessarily as a bulk starter. He will be, in my opinion, either in a relief role where it could be potentially high leverage. It could be the 6th inning of a 2-1 game and you put him out there for an inning. I could also see having him go out there as an opener. And we say, okay, Mizorowski, no matter what happens, you're going through the order one time.
Yep, that's how I feel they should use him too.
So whether that means you get 3 1-2-3s and you pitch 3 innings, or you go through the order once and you get 7 outs and you allow a single and a walk, that's what you get. So then you finish 2 1/3 innings. After you're through your first time through the order, then we're going to bring in next player. But for me, it's putting him in a role where you're not expecting him to give you length. Where I get the opener idea is he can give you, 3 innings of length, but you're not expecting it from him because you're only, planning on him going through the order one time. With this game, the other thing that I wanted to give a quick shout out to was Sal Frelick's home run that he hit in the top of the 2nd inning. 422 feet, 104.4 miles an hour off the bat. I loved to see him be able to hit a monster home run after getting completely shafted by the strike zone twice on looking strikeouts.
Yeah,
felt like a little bit of baseball justice. But did you have anything else from the first game?
There really wasn't much else to take away.
So the second game was probably the one that I had the most to talk about. It was good to see Joey Ortiz coming up clutch in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Jake Bowers hit a double to left field, to left center on a 9-pitch at bat. They gave an intentional walk to Andrew Vaughn, and then Joey Ortiz punched a single to right field. All of those things happened with 2 outs. So it was good to see Joey Ortiz do that well. Chad Patrick was perfect through 4 1/3. This was Sunday. I believe this was Sunday because then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, this was Sunday's game.
Yeah.
Or no, Saturday's game. Sorry.
Saturday.
Chad Patrick was perfect through 4 1/3, then gave up a liner and 2 super soft bloopers that tied the game at 1, the bottom of the 5th. Another blooper and a soft infield single started that inning. A sacrifice bunt advanced them both, and then Patrick was done. I think part of it was that there was a lefty coming up, and they're pitching to leverage with a bullpen that hasn't had a ton of use lately going into this weekend. And then I also think that part of it was trying to replicate some playoff type situations for Ashby. As you're coming up in a tie game, you're coming in to face a big lefty, trying to kind of simulate that a little bit of a playoff situation for Ashby. And then I also think they were trying to protect Chad Patrick's pitch count a little bit. I think Chad Patrick is the Brandon Woodruff plan B in my mind. Okay. So I think they were trying to protect his pitch count a little bit. Obviously, we saw him make a spot start today. But Brendan Donovan did get a single on a low breaking ball, similar to a ball that he homered on in Milwaukee last week, actually, that I gave him credit for on last week's show. A ball that just below the strike zone that you just give credit to a hitter because most guys are just going to swing and miss at that or hit it foul. So for him to put that in play, that's just good on him for being a good hitter. The next guy grounded into a double play. Caleb Durbin leadoff double. Andrew Vaughn 1-out fly tied the game. Bryce Durang hit an oppo single in the top of the 10th with 2 outs to give the Brewers the lead. And then the bottom of the 10th, a comebacker to Jared Koenig. Looks the runner 2/3 of the way back to second base. Goes to first, gets the out, and then Andre Monasterio makes a great play to third to make it a double play. Fantastic throw. And they made a perfect comment on the broadcast that it helps to have a shortstop playing first base in that situation. So that was great stuff to see. Good to get a win, even though the strike zone was bad. The Brewers were still hitting the ball hard. I was somewhat pleased to see the way this game turned out. So what did you have from Saturday?
Yeah, so I brought up the 3 double plays that they converted on the day before. They had 3 more today. So we start out this game. Bauer's double. Oh, where am I? I apologize. Yeah, so Bauer's had a double. That was his 8th of the year. The Brewers had 5 doubles today. Well, not today. On this day. I wrote down today as I was taking my notes, so I apologize. They had 5 doubles. Bauers, Contreras, Vaughn, Frelick, and Durbin all had doubles. So the Brewers were hitting the ball hard, to your point. Turang, Vaughn, and Ortiz all had RBIs. All of them 2-out RBIs. So big-time clutch hitting from the Brewers. Bauers with a double on the 9th pitch of an at-bat after following off 4 straight in a 2-2 count. Gets Brewers their first scoring threat. Vaughn walks on 5 straight pitches. The first one was a strike. The next 4 were balls. Ortiz knows Mikolas wants to attack the zone after 4 straight balls. So, and this is a credit to Joey Ortiz, by the way, being a smart baseball player, knowing that he wants to attack. He does not want to give up too many pitches. So he sees a 4-seamer and he's ready to attack. And he gets an RBI for it, 1-0. And then Arenado ends up tying the game in the 4th inning. Cardinals take the lead off of Donovan single, like you said, and the Brewers tie it from Vaughn on a sac fly after Durbin led off with his own double. That was Durbin's 25th double of the year. So Durbin is absolutely clutch and hitting the ball hard all year and playing good defense. Caleb Durbin's good, by the way.
Yeah, real good. He might be rookie of the year right now.
Dude, we've had like 5 players that are like up for like rookie of the year. I'd
say 4 pretty easily.
Yeah, 4 pretty easily. 7 through 9 were scoreless. 1 hit between both teams. And then Koenig pitched the 9th and the 10th. He got a double play in both innings to close it out. But none was more impressive than the perfectly executed, and I cannot say this enough, perfectly executed one. Koenig does a perfect job taking his time, looking Nootbaar back. First of all, if your name is Lars or Nootbaar, why the fuck are you running on this? That's the first goddamn point I have to make. He's the automatic runner in the 10th inning. Looks him back, throws it to first, and then Mona just a freaking rocket to third base. And I was freaking hype after I saw it. I said, hell yeah, dog. We out here like this. What an amazing play, seriously. Like, to leave the bases empty after that probably gave Koenig a really big sigh of relief. Like I said, he got 2 double plays, so great defense by the Brewers, clutch hitting the ball all over the ballpark. That was the game where, after the first game, kind of like how today's game went, I keep talking about it, but it kind of felt like, yeah, the Brewers are locked in on this one. I think they want to win this one. That's why I'm not worried at all. When they actually want to win, I'm just like, yeah, I think they want to win. Every once in a while, when they give up a bunch of runs, on some BS, they're hitting the ball soft. I'm like,
they're calling up a random dude to make a spot start.
Yeah, they're probably punting this one. It is what it is.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt about Sunday's game. I'm going to be honest with you. The only note that I wrote down was about Robert Gosser, who was called up to start that game. I was excited to see him back. He was pitching all right. He gave up a 2-run home run to Ivan Herrera, who is going to be a pain in the ass for a while. That's pretty much the only takeaway I had from Sunday was that Ivan Herrera is going to be a pain in the ass for a while.
Yeah. I didn't write down too much as well. Gosser, first 2 innings were pretty clean, all things considered. In the third, he had a cutter that got too much to the plate, and like you said, Herrera just hit it and he hit a bomb. And I thought that was one of the only few pitches that I was like, yeah, you're probably going to get hurt on that one, buddy, if you keep putting it in that spot. Outside of that, they got an RBI from Churios. Nice to see him get an ribby here. And went 0 for 7 runners in scoring position. So I was like, oh, God, now I got to look it up. 2 for 27 in the series, runners in scoring position. That's not going to get it done. But on this day, it was still a celebratory day because the Brewers backed themselves in. And people can say that, say that's, a slight and all that other stuff. But they kind of did. They backed themselves into the Central Division Championship. They won a bunch of games when they needed to, right? Yep. Absolutely took the crown from the Cubs, and they're just like, yeah, you think you were going to hold this thing? Good fucking joke. And then they just took it.
It's really funny to see Cubs fans projecting like, "Ooh, you guys are going to blow a 6.5 game lead."
Yeah,
it's one of those like, takes one to know one,
right? So yeah, that was really all I had from that game.
So looking at the Padres series that started on Monday, ended today. Game 1 on Monday. The game went into extra innings, so I really only have 2 things from this game, one being from extra innings and the other one being on the game as a whole. So let me know what you thought about Monday, and then we can talk about those 2 things.
Okay, so I'll start. So obviously we had to use a bunch of pitchers in this game. Peralta started this game, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned. Had a walk and 6 Ks. Ashby was very good. Mears had 2 walks and earned run and a hit. Koenig was very good. Uribe was very good. Z, this is the day where I was just kind of like, maybe, but the 2 walks is kind of tough. And then Anderson, we'll get into that when we talk about the extras. I know this sounds like whining, but it was for both teams. I'm going to say it was for both teams. The umpire was fucking terrible. 25 missed calls. On the same day that I got the notification on my phone that they're going to allow teams 2 challenges.
It was the next day, but yes.
Oh, was it? I thought
it was announced on Tuesday, but
it was announced on Tuesday. Okay,
yeah,
my fault. But within 24 hours,
I wrote it down as well.
Within 24 hours of finding that out, we had to deal with a freaking disaster class, dude. What the hell was that? And like I said, it was for both teams. The Brewers were getting calls. The Padres are getting calls. We can't have that.
You see one come across at Bryce Terang's neck that gets called a strike, and I'm like,
and then they're freaking foot outside. I'm like, what are we calling here, dude? Yeah. These batters have no idea what the hell's happening. The Padres are in a freaking division title race. The Brewers are trying to lock down the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? What the hell are we doing? Honestly, that was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm going to save some of my notes for the extra innings because you said that you have some of that, so go ahead.
Buddy. My extra innings thing is literally just about Jackson Churios. So anything else you have to say?
Oh, okay. So I wrote down that both teams scored the 10th. Clutch hitting from both teams. Brewers, Contreras advanced. Terang on a deep foul out to right, and Frelick making contact scores Terang. So nicely done there. Brewers just, yeah. Steve, dude,
I saw a video clip of missed calls that we need new umps. Next year we get the AAA challenge rule that Jake and I have been clamoring for about a year and a half.
Dude, so terrible. The 11th inning was rough for the Brewers. I wrote down. Moan was caught in a rundown, and then they hit into a double play. Trio hit into a double play. Mona, I should say, was caught in a rundown. Tough situation, honestly, but it was tough to watch as well. And then the Padres, Anderson, 2 pitches, bro. He allowed a sacrifice, basically bunt. And then the first pitch, the guy who was pitching today, I forgot his name, Fennon or whatever.
Catching, the catcher.
Yeah, he just slapped one over there, and that was the Padres locking up their playoff spot. So good for them, I guess. I do not want to see them because, goddamn, Luis Arias, dude, that guy
that dude gets on base.
Dude, he's got such good hands, bro.
Yeah,
I cannot underestimate that. He makes contact with fucking everything, dude.
Yeah, he's not gonna put balls in the seats, but he's gonna put balls in play, and they're gonna find grass.
He is stressful if you're the opposing team. Is all I'm gonna say.
So the thing that I saw, Kim said, totally agree. The umps sucked on Monday for both sides. It was bad. Yeah. The thing that I saw, the criticism of Jackson Chourio to swing at a 2-0 pitch, that I saw somebody say was a bad pitch to swing at, and I disagree. It was a pitch right on the outside corner, maybe slightly off, But that is the perfect pitch for Jackson Chourio to push to right field.
Yeah.
So I was not mad at all at the swing decision. He gets a 2-0 pitch, so he's looking for a fastball, which it was on the outside corner of the plate.
Yep.
If he puts that into right field, punches it into right field, it's probably 2 runs for the Brewers.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at the decision for him to swing at all in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you don't know before he makes the swing that he's going to ground into a double play, but I have no issue at all with the fact that he swung at it. Last night's game, basically, we get Bruce Zimmerman coming up to make a spot start, knowing that this was going to be the only game he was going to pitch for the Brewers, pitching in Woody's spot, and gave up 2 singles and a walk, and then got ahead to O'Hearn 0-2, got back to 2-2, gave up a grand slam and a 2-0 or a 2-run home run later in the game. And that was about it. It was good, still helpful for him to get through 6 innings, to help eat some innings. That is still helpful. And then he was DFA'd today.
Yep.
So good to see him come up and give the Brewers 6 innings of help as they near the playoffs and are getting everybody healthy and rested and stuff. So,
hey man, when you're playing, what is those sports? Is it like Sports Grid where they have the sports grids?
the grids.
Dude, he will be such a freaking knock out of the park freaking pick if you pick him.
1-game pull.
Players who pitch 1 game for the Brewers, like, dude, that would be an elite pick. I wrote down, I was giggling because I wrote down low-key clutch that he got through 6 innings. Padres scored 4 in the first, 2 in the second, both off of homers, quick 6-0 lead. They hit a 3rd homer in the 8th. Kind of felt like Brewers punted this game, to be honest with you, when I was watching it. Brewers had 4 hits, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. Yelly had a single in the 3rd. Perkins and Ortiz had back-to-back singles in the 8th. After those back-to-back singles, Yelly had a fielded choice, and Chourio struck out. And Frelick had a single to center in the 9th inning with 2 outs. Brewers went 0 for 2 runners in scoring position, and that was your ball game. Look, I just like that Zimmerman was able to eat 6 innings, so we didn't have to use any of our extra bullpen guys. I'm really looking to lock down that number 1 seed, get the 4 or 5 days off or whatever, and then we'll start a playoff series at home. And honest to God, if I see one more Brewers fan say they don't want the Cubs, you soft ass mother hellers, dude. You soft. Dude, we're not scared of them. I want that.
I would love to get the Cubs and knock them out.
Dude, you know how good that would feel?
Fucking fans.
It feels so good to be in a championship series, and then they beat the damn Cubs to do it.
That would be the most satisfying series to win.
Dude, if
Steve said the magic number is 1, it absolutely is. The magic number for the franchise record, the magic number to clinch the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Being able to check both of those things off in one,
yep.
Beautiful.
Let's do it.
Or if the Phillies lose tonight and you get it checked off already,
yeah,
great. Then the only thing you got to worry about is winning one more game to secure the franchise record, secure the bag on that.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Today's game, Chad Patrick came to pitch on 4 days of rest, a short rest. Only threw 56 pitches in his last outing. Like I said, I think the Brewers were kind of protecting his pitch count a little bit. Obviously, having the hindsight today, knowing that they weren't going to be pitching Brandon Woodruff in yesterday's game, made them know that they were going to be doing this. Also, got to give Vinny Rottino credit. Vinny Rottino absolutely knows ball, and one of the things that he brought up during today's broadcast was the fact that Quinn Priester being pushed back a day pushes him back to the Reds series. The Brewers and Padres could end up matching up in the playoffs, and by not having Quinn Priester pitch against the Padres today, they don't get to see him in person.
Oh, my goodness. Dude, Vinny Rottino is freaking goated, bro. That is the elite ball knowledge.
The Padres, they can go and scout him all they want. They can watch all the tape, but none of their guys get to have the batter box version of seeing Quinn Priester.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing for me with today's game. Awesome to see him throwing his slurve, which looked great today, and it's why some people are talking about Chad Patrick not getting enough respect. Not enough people are talking about Chad Patrick, and I think we said this last week, reiterating it today. I believe, and I would 100% support Chad Patrick being the Brandon Woodruff backup plan.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with it.
If we'll talk about the playoff potential roster next week. But if Jose Quintana is able to pitch, if he's your number 3 guy, whatever they're looking at doing here, Chad Patrick, I am not at all opposed to him being your game 4 starter at all. Especially if you have a 2-1 lead, you throw him out there for 4 innings. Totally on board.
Yep.
Other things with today, good to see Jackson Chourio rob a home run, have his defense feed into his offense a little bit. The Brewers did have runners in scoring position through all of the first 5 innings to start the game. Andrew Vaughn was able to break through for the Brewers to get them their first run. And obviously they were able to tack on another one. And then Danny Jansen gave a 400-foot home run to super high and deep left field. Kept it inside the foul pole. That was good to see because I was scrolling through Twitter and seeing people complaining about him 5 minutes before that. And then he hits a big home run, and I was like, should I scroll back up? No, I'm not that petty.
I am. That's where we differ.
But what stuck out to you from today as we were getting ready to start today's show?
Yeah, elite defense, elite pitching. Those are the 2 things that you always think of when you think of the Brewers, right? They had that today. Ashby looked good. Nick Mears, dude, the sack on that guy, honestly. And I just – I'm a very emotional guy. As I've gotten older, I've gotten less worried about admitting that.
You do cry a lot. I understand.
I am an emotional guy. So seeing a guy like Nick Mears, who just feels like he leaves it all out there, man, and then give out one of those screams like, yeah, that's my guy, dude. Let's fucking go, dude. Like, that gets me jacked up, bro. I was texting you right after that. I was like, hell yeah, dude. They're trying to win this motherfucker, dude. And we get to the RBIs, right? So Terang had his hand in the first 2 runs for the Brewers. He had a single to the left in the 5th on a slider down and in, didn't miss it. Vaughn hit a double to the left, also off of a slider. So very nicely done by the Brewers there. Merrill, their version of Jackson, tied the game at 1 with a homer in the 6th inning, and the Brewers come right back in the next half inning and take the lead right back. Chourio single, he stole second, and Bryce Terang with a clutch 2-out knock straight back up the center field. So very nicely done. And just before I get into the Danny Jansen stuff, the Brewers had a had a player on base in every inning except the 8th inning. Obviously won 1, 2, 3 in that inning then. But yeah, Danny Jansen, his 2nd home run as a Brewer, 13th on the year, 34 RBIs now in the year for him. And the thing I took away from this, and I was setting this up before, is 2 of the 3 guys who got RBIs today were guys that were additions during this season. So we got to let Arnold cook, bro, because he knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. Okay. So looking just at what's next for the Brewers, we have the 3 games versus the Reds next week over the weekend. Then next week, we're also going to do a stat projection review. I'm very interested. I have not looked at them since the beginning of the year when we posted them, so I'm very, very interested to see where we landed. Yeah. And then we're going to do a playoff roster prediction next week. Just a couple other things contextually with the Brewers. Now, seeing a lot of complaining. I'm baffled that I'm still seeing, the Brewers posted yesterday they lost 7-0. Obviously not scoring runs is a little bit of a bummer, but seeing that the 2 highest amount of reactions to the Brewers posting on Facebook that they lost 7-0 are sad face and angry face. Like, people, we got to learn ball here. The Brewers are absolutely not worried about what their record is at the end of the regular season as long as they have the 1 seed.
Agreed.
That's literally the only thing that matters. Setting the franchise record is a perk. It's a nice perk. If they end up losing in the NLCS or, whatever happens, they can still say this has been the best regular season in franchise history on a season we were projected to win 82 games. But if the Brewers go and say make or win the World Series, nobody's going to give a shit that they lost 15 games in September.
I don't know. Susie, who was mad reacting to that post, might still give a shit, Tyler, because she wanted to win 100 games really bad.
Which would have been cool, but it's not necessary.
Yep.
97 is going to give you a 1 seed throughout the playoffs.
Yep.
So the more important thing is having everybody getting the right amount of rest, getting the most amount of players you can to feeling 100% before you start your playoff run is the most important thing right now.
Absolutely.
is absolutely the most important thing. Because the Brewers, like I said, the magic number is 1. They only need to win 1 out of 3. I don't care if they lose 2 out of 3. I don't care. If it means that the Reds get into the playoffs over the Mets, I'm kind of okay with that too, because fuck New York. They have a big-ass payroll. They don't deserve to have nice things.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm with that. Let's go.
Miss the playoffs.
I'm a little bit low-key kind of cheering for the Cubs to beat the Mets today. I'm not going to lie to you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Cubs can win as many games as they want. I don't give a shit. Doesn't do anything for them. They're not moving up anywhere. So, honestly, if the Reds are like, all right, we'll let you guys win game 1, I'll let the Reds win the second and third game. I don't care because the Brewers will already have secured what they need at that point.
Yep.
So, a game like last night, not putting a ton of stock into it. Bruce Zimmerman is not pitching a game for the Brewers in the playoffs.
No.
Sorry to say it, but Andrew Monasterio is probably not going to see a lot of playing time in the playoffs. He's going to have some, but probably not a lot. Danny Jansen might not see the field at all in the playoffs. So we're talking about guys getting playing time like Rob Zastryzny, Grant Anderson. Like these guys are not seeing time in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Steve said that's all I was hoping for this run was 97 wins and then kick ass in the playoffs. Absolutely. Again, if the Brewers go on a big run or even a modest run in the playoffs, like it's going to be a good season. Like this is already an exceeding expectation situation. Mm-hmm. And now people are whining because they're not winning 14 games in a row going into the playoffs. Like I get you want to have a little bit of a sense of confidence, but the Brewers win 97 games and have a new franchise record. They're going to be pretty confident going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I would say so. And it's not like the Brewers are a team that really has a mentality of, oh no, we've lost 5 out of the last 8 games. Are we going to be able to win in the playoffs? How many times do you have to hear during a mid-game interview guys talking about the people? It's the people, the people, the people, the people, the people. And you think they're the kind of people that are going to be like, oh my God, we lost a bunch of games while we were trying to get our rotation set and get guys with the right amount of rest and recovery so that they were 100%. And you think that's going to affect their mentality? I don't think people really understand like how psycho-professional athletes are to begin with, much less having ones whose coaching staffs and front office are constantly talking about their character.
Yeah, I don't think that Murphy crosses me as the kind of guy that's going to let guys lose focus or lose confidence. He's always instilling confidence in all his players, dude. And he, like, you're absolutely correct. He does it by just saying it's the people. Yeah. He instills confidence to every single person in that building, every staff member, every single person, just by saying that one line.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say on the Brewers before we get to their last regular season series?
Just want to say they won the last road game they had in the regular season, so that feels awesome. They probably locked up the best road record in baseball. Winning games on the road is a big key in the playoffs for success. They have their last home series coming up here. Just want to say congratulations to Steve on having a fully developed frontal lobe, because with that mindset, you're clearly a smart guy. Let's just
watches our show. That's a good head start.
Hell yeah, dude. You said everything. I don't want to sound too redundant. Steve wrapped it up very nicely, put a nice little bow on it. Let's just get win 97, then we can relax for a couple of days, and then it's time to turn up. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we're in the NLDS. Why can't we just be happy about that?
Yeah. Yeah, can't lose in the first round if you don't play in it.
Fucking A, dude.
So we'll see what our playoff coverage looks like. Whether we do a little bit more often of commentary or content, we'll see. Kind of see how the schedule kind of lines up as far as Wednesdays and stuff are concerned as well. But I'm ready for it.
Dude, me too. I've been ready for it for about like 2 weeks now.
Yeah. Alrighty. So let's switch to the Badgers, and we're gonna bring Mike in. Got to do it. So again, this is gonna be one of those things where not necessarily a ton to say on the game specifically, but I want to have some contextual conversation here as well. So let's run through the game quick. Jake, what do you have to say about the offensive line?
I have 0 numbers for anybody who is expecting me to talk about numbers, because I love numbers when it comes to stats. That's the thing that I fell in love with when I was younger. I hated math class,
Honestly,
I love stats.
I would say if we're talking about the backbone of our show, I would say statistics are one of the vertebrae.
Oh, 100%. So, God, this is what I wrote down. The offensive line, we can't even get snapping correct, first of all. We have too many pre-snap penalties. We have too many missed assignments. We're not combo blocking. And for God's sakes, we used to have a goddamn center who could snap the ball and pull after. We can't even have a guy snap the damn ball now. I'm sorry if I'm yelling. I love sports and I
Go off, King.
Sports, but God damn it, bro. These guys need to really look each other in the eyes. This is one of those moments where you go from a boy to a man. And adversity is going to hit everybody differently, and how you react to it determines your character.
Yep.
But all these guys need to look each other in the eyes and really find out how they want the 2025 Wisconsin Badgers offensive line to be remembered. Because 4 weeks into this season, they suck. And I am a very optimistic person. I'm optimistic about life. I'm optimistic about sports. But I am not going to say nice words right now because they do not deserve nice words. Doesn't matter what quarterback's back there. We've tried to give them, the excuse of having a backup quarterback in. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is right now. We could have Tom fucking Brady back there. Tom Brady is not making a good play right now with how the ball's being snapped and how they're being blocked. You have no run game. We don't have time for long developing plays to go downfield. Jeff Grimes isn't able to go into the bag. This offensive line is hindering everything to do with this 2025 season. And I was pretty optimistic coming into this year after looking up Jeff Grimes' recent success with other schools, with the BYUs and the Baylors. Obviously Kansas was a very explosive offense last year. But this offensive line is holding everything up. It's not doing great. And I understand that maybe throwing the curse word around a little bit, but, man, I knew I had to talk about Badgers football, and it was just kind of pissing me off today.
Yeah.
They've not been good. They need a bye.
Yeah.
And I can't wait because we're going to talk about the Barry Alvarez stuff, which everybody has heard now. I cannot wait to digest that because I'm interested to hear. I heard Tyler's before the show. I'm interested to hear Mike's thoughts on that. But right now, offensive line, we used to call ourselves O-line U. No, not right now.
Mike, I assume you have similar sentiments on the run game.
Yeah, unfortunately, this game was a lot of negativity, unfortunately, and I mentioned it in the chat before we met here tonight. I'm the guy that's usually firing chats away while the game's going on, as you guys know, but going into that second quarter and into that second half, I didn't really have any feelings at all. It's just I'm just sad. I'm numb. I just know right now this team can't overcome anything, it seems like, at this point when something's fired at them. So, that was just my feeling right now. Feelings, as of this last game here. I guess I will say if there's a bright spot from this, Darion Dupree, he'd had a couple explosive runs. I mean, he ended up only with 14 carries for 52 yards. But, yeah, hey, we had a long run of 17 yards with him. So we're getting there. We didn't get the 20, but we got the 17. Unfortunately, Dylan Jones did get hurt in this game. Hopefully he has a fast recovery he had 6 carries, 20 yards. I guess, if there is any sort of silver lining for that, maybe we'll get to see what K.D. Akamelli can do. I mean, he only got 2 carries for 4 yards last game. So, this is now a guy that's not even just old in the running back room, but one of the older guys in this team. So maybe going into this next Michigan game, he can maybe lead by example. Not that he hasn't already. I'm sure he has. But, being one of the older guys on this team, I'm hoping he sets an example, fills in like that captain role, going forward because, as it stands now, we're in for a very long season the rest of the way.
Yeah. If Dylan Jones has an injury that's more long-term, which I hope it isn't, regardless of when he comes back, I believe that Darion Dupree should be the lead back. I think he's better than Dylan Jones. I would say the tape so far this year would agree with my thought on that. But I would like to see a little bit more Darion Dupree than Dylan Jones. That said, looking at the passing game, Billy Edwards did play a little bit. His first pass went to Trechkekahuna for 45 yards, and I'm like, all right, cool. His second pass was a little bit high for Ballard, led to a conservative third down call and then a blocked field goal on fourth down. And then he was gimpy after that, and Danny O'Neill had a couple good plays in some RPO situations. But the offensive line, I wrote in my notes, was letting everybody down. Danny O'Neill lobbed a deep ball late, got picked. I mean, didn't really have a ton to say. As far as Maryland defense is concerned, I do not understand how number 3 Reddick did not get tossed.
Yeah.
The first time he makes an unsportsmanlike conduct play, it's a helmet-to-helmet hit with Danny O'Neill after the ball is out of his hands. Then he gets another unsportsmanlike conduct play penalty later in the game. After 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, how are you not gone? And then later on in the game, he's making more plays. And it's like, why is this guy still on the field? He has 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Neither of them was he ejected for.
Yeah.
So that grinded my gears. And then we get to a point where the Badgers finally get a couple good runs going in the second half. And then it's a trick play. We're snapping the ball from under the left guard. Like, I had no defense for play calling. We can just jump into the D-line because I don't really even have anything else to say.
Yeah, so I wrote down that the effort was above average at best. Very few disrupting plays, which is something that you look for, especially from a pass rush point of view. Not playing the attack style of football that we saw the first couple weeks of the season. People aren't running down the line. People aren't chasing people down. They're not giving extra effort. It's just, I feel like, no, I'm not going to say that. I think that this team needs an attitude adjustment is basically what I want to say. That's all I got.
That's fair. As far as linebackers are concerned, it was good to see Aaron Witt starting after I called for him to get some more playing time last week. It's fun to be right, even when the performance is bad for the team. Yeah, so it's like, all right, consolation prize. I was right about Aaron Witt earning more playing time, and then he got to start. So that was cool, I guess. He made a really nice tackle in the flat after the blocked punt. Mason Posa got a lot of playing time. He had a pass breakup on third down of the first series of the second half. And the second drive for Maryland, a 3rd and 10, Mason Rieger got a sack. So a couple good things out of the linebackers. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Mason Rieger doesn't have any eligibility left after this year. And I think Aaron Witt might be a senior.
He's done too. Yeah.
So it's like, Mason Posa's here, but some of the guys that we have that I'm excited about aren't going to be here after the season's over, which is unfortunate. But Mike, what do you see, feel, think about the secondary?
I thought we would come into this game a little bit with our, heads on fire, so to speak, especially after that performance against Bama. And Austin Brown even said it before the game. We can't give up explosive plays to this quarterback. Unfortunately, we did give up a few. I think missing Preston Zachman definitely was a big loss going into this game. Hope to God he's not out long term. But I guess he was in like a leg boot and on a scooter, I guess, supposedly during this last game on the sideline. So that's not good at all. But Malik Washington, the true freshman quarterback, he's definitely got some tools. It wouldn't surprise me if he transfers to a bigger school next year, I would say, to get that NIL money. But no, 265 yards to the air, 2 touchdowns. Badgers gave up a backbreaker in the second half on that long 62-yard touchdown pass that kind of went over the top on the safety. That pretty much put it out of reach. But I think personally this is back-to-back weeks where secondary as a whole was not good. They still gave up explosive plays. And to be honest, I think it would have been a few more if the Maryland receivers would actually catch the ball. I mean, the Malik Washington stats were 18 of 34 for 265. That probably should have been right around 23 or 24, 24 of 34, because those receivers definitely couldn't catch everything thrown their way when they should have. So I really thought that, this is back-to-back weeks where, cornerbacks got beat. I hate to name drop them, but Rico Holman got beat a couple times again that I thought definitely could have been a little avoidable. I didn't know if it was something to do with maybe the defensive call. Like, for example, I know our pass rush wasn't necessarily the greatest this past week, so I don't know if like the corners were just laying off a little bit too to not let anything get by them in that case or what. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing good to say at the end of the day. This was just another one of those, another one of those weeks where I really don't want to say anything else because it's going to turn into not so many positive thoughts.
So let's just discuss Badger football as a whole, just kind of where they are as far as Fickell is concerned. Obviously, there was plenty of fire Fickell chants inside the stadium. So there is, a complete one side of fire Fickell, and then you have the Barry Alvarez side on comments where he said Badgers fans are spoiled rotten. Mike, I'll let you go first. Where kind of your thoughts, where you stand as far as the program as a whole sits right now?
Sure. So ever since, Luke Fickell took over, we're about 2.5 seasons into this thing. And, you're going back to like some of these games where, again, whether it's against Big Ten opponents, Alabama or whatnot. And I really think at the end of the day, the common theme since Luke Fickell has taken over is that this team cannot overcome any sort of adversity at all during a game. If they get behind, they're pretty much screwed. That's basically that's like just looking at this like broad, big picture, getting scored on against Iowa in that first quarter. We didn't, have a pulse. Minnesota last 2 years actually. Just again, Penn State, when Braden Locke throws that pick six and then we go down, and that's end of third quarter when we're still in the game. There's just no response. Oregon, same thing, where we had 2 more possessions after that where we could have, made an impact, but we ended up only scoring 10 to 13 points in that game and the same thing for Penn State too, where we just could not get anything going. And I think it just comes down to whenever this team gets behind, it just seems like there's just no sort of adversity that we can really overcome. And I think that really applies to both sides of the ball too. I don't think, at least at this point, the defense is a little bit higher than where the offense is at right now, I would say. But I still would say at the same time, both sides of the ball are not in a good spot. And
I would throw special teams into that as well.
That's what I was just going to say, special teams as well. I just can't say maybe the defensive line. Since Fickell has taken over, I don't know if I can honestly say there's a position group that has gotten significantly better year over year over year. The offensive line was pretty good last year. Obviously, we took a huge step down, going into this season. And I get there's injuries. I get all that. But there's also a difference between losing a game and losing a game where you're not even being competitive or competent. I used the term brain dead at one point, I think last game. Just looking at the eye test so far this season, it's just gone very, very downhill in pretty much all phases. I get it. We shut out Miami, Ohio week 1. That was great. Middle Tennessee, I guess, we scored 42. But, we were trailing them 10 to 14 in the third quarter. And then all of a sudden we took off. But, like, Bama after the first quarter, it was gone. This Maryland game, it felt like in the second quarter we were done. Honestly, there's no signs of life. And again, at the big picture, this team cannot overcome any sort of adversity, especially when it gets down early. There's no bouncing back from that, which is why I think this program's not in a good spot right now. I think if you want to call it rock bottom, I'm not going to blame somebody for saying that. However, I do think we're getting close if we're not there. Just looking at the eye test so far this year, again, going back, it goes between losing a game and losing a game where you don't even have any signs of life. And that's where it becomes a big problem, in my view.
So Steve said they have a tough schedule ahead now, too. I'm sad about it. The games that they're quote expected to lose, I don't think anybody's going to be shocked if they lose those games. But Maryland was one that we all had circled, like, all right, Maryland in Camp Randall, that's one we should be able to win by 20 points.
Yep.
And now we're at a point where it's like, all right, you look at the rest of the schedule, do you see any automatic wins? And I don't think anybody can confidently say, yes, I think they're going to win these games easily. Any of the games that they play, they're all going to be fights. And, to Jake's point about the offensive line, I think you can extrapolate it to the whole team where they have to look at each other shoulder to shoulder and say, do we want to go down swinging or do we want to go quietly? So, Jake, I'll let you give your thoughts on the program as a whole. And then I want to say something that might make Steve feel a little bit better, but it's also kind of a mindset thing that people need to change. But I want to save that for last, so I'll let Jake go.
Okay, so first thing I'll say is you can look at the tough schedule. I'm going to bounce off Steve real quick. You can look at the tough schedule and be like, oh, man, this is going to be rough. This is going to be hard. Or you can go into it like a goddamn warrior. And if there's a freaking sport where you get to feel like you're a gladiator, it's football, maybe hockey, but football. You are literally a gladiator. I was talking to my son's teammates after the game, giving them pointers, and there's one kid, he's got good size, good speed, but he's just a little soft. And I'm like, dog, this is legal assault, bro. You get to grab him and determine how the rest of his day goes for an hour straight, bro. You get to decide if he's having a good time. The Badgers can decide, oh, man, this schedule looks really tough, or this is an opportunity for us to really test ourselves. And that's the mindset that they need to have. That's the mindset that I'm going into it with. It's going to be a tough watch. I'm not going to lie to you about that. It's going to be tough. Last couple Saturdays, not been fun, not having a great time. I'm going to have a really good Saturday this Saturday. My daughter's got a birthday party. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be around a bunch of 4-year-olds. It's going to be awesome. No stress.
What's the theme? Is there a theme?
The theme is 4-year-old little girls running around having fun. That's the theme.
Fair enough.
I don't know the theme. She got invited to her first birthday. I'm happy for her. She's excited. Let's do it. The state of the Wisconsin Badgers football. They have a lot of gut check time ahead of them. And I really just have comments on Barry Alvarez. So I'm gonna say what I gotta say. Mikey did a nice job. It's gonna be tough. You got a lot of shit you gotta work through.
All right, you want to say your stuff about Barry Alvarez? Like, I don't know if you guys if you want to say something about it, Mike, if you want to add on.
So Barry, I love Barry Alvarez. Okay, I don't hate Barry Alvarez, but I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told Tyler, and it's the same thing that I thought right away. You complaining, you saying that people shouldn't be on Fickle, saying fire Fickle, and you saying that we're spoiled babies is literally you doing the same thing to the fans that the fans are doing to Fickle. How can you do that? You can't do that. That's not fair. That's the pot calling the kettle black. That's literally exactly what it is. So if you want to live in a world where there's already no accountability in college sports, right? These kids get paid millions and millions of dollars now, and they can jump ship after 6 months. There's already no accountability, no mental toughness, required nowadays. And now you're going to be like, well, don't talk to Luke Fickle like that. It's not like he's the highest paid employee in the state of Wisconsin or anything like that. Well, I go to work and bust my ass for $20 an hour. This guy's over here getting his ass whooped on national television. What are we talking about here, Barry? He's tearing down everything that you built, bro. And you're going to stick up for him? No. That's absolute dog shit. And I don't care what anybody says. Having Brett Bielema be in the state of Illinois building Illinois to exactly what Wisconsin was and stealing our recruits and smiling in our face while he does it is a terrible place to be.
For me, it's weird because it's weird because it seems like the Badgers are still doing well off the field.
It does.
Like they're literally flipping recruits from Oregon State over the weekend.
Yep.
And like there's no denying that the recruiting aspects of the game have gotten much better than they were under Paul Chryst, but it's just not translating to the performance. So as far as the Barry Alvarez Fire Fickle spectrum goes, like I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I would say it's possible that fans that are over 30 are maybe a little bit spoiled and, you know, have some high expectations and, you know, maybe overestimated how much time it would take to modernize the program. And on top of that, having money be able to be a part of it at the same exact time as flipping a coaching staff. That's kind of really shitty timing, and I'm not excusing anything, but to have the coaching staff change at the same time as NIL happening is really tough. So it's possible, and it's, you know, it's something that there's really no control over unless you are the person that has it. But more money for the program to get more players in is probably the first thing that you can say of trying to improve the quality of the on-field product sooner than later. Now, I just want to go a step up above Fickle to Chris McIntosh. I don't think McIntosh should be even warm seated because of Fickle. Even if Luke Fickle gets fired over the bye week, I still don't think Chris McIntosh's seat should be warm because he presides over so many more things than football. And yes, I fully understand that football is the biggest draw. It's the biggest moneymaker. It's the most important hire to get right. But Chris McIntosh, outside of what I would say is football and women's basketball, has done a really good job with coaching staffs for Wisconsin sports.
Yep.
Specifically the hockey teams, keeping Greg Gard around. The new coach that he hired for the men's hockey team, like volleyball, extending those coaches, that's great stuff. So I have no ill will towards McIntosh as far as anything concerned with Fickle goes. Steve said it feels like we lose in-state O-line prospects and losing the fan base will continue to trend, need to fix the line. And Jake hammered on that a lot. So, Mike, is there anything else you want to say on that spectrum of Barry Alvarez?
Put a bow on it, Mikey.
No, absolutely. I'm going to actually disagree with you a little bit, first off, on the whole McIntosh thing. I do know and the reason why I do, Fickle was his guy. It was his hire. And this actually ties to Barry Alvarez too. A big part of it definitely is the fact when he brought in Fickle, it pissed a lot of like Badger donors and alumni off through that whole transition, mainly because, hey, we didn't hire Jim Leonard. Hey, I decided to fire Paul Chryst. I didn't tell any of you hire like the board of regents or whatever the hell you want to call it, the NIL donors and all that stuff. Yeah. This was one of those things that was done behind closed doors. When Paul Chryst got in a room, basically they got in an argument after the Illinois game, I think it was, when they got their ass beat. And, that night, McIntosh fires him and without any notice at all of anybody else. And I know, to my understanding, it really pissed off a lot of higher ups, a lot of the alumni, a lot of former players, obviously, which that is definitely understood. So I'm going to say it's a little warm because a lot of people that have connections to the program higher up, whether that's donors or alumni in general, that this doesn't sit right with them, specifically to what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. So I do think if you're going to really fire Fickle, I think there is going to be a discussion made. Does McIntosh go with them? Because I just don't, my opinion, I think if they do end up getting rid of Fickle, first off, I don't think it's going to happen mid-year. I think if they do it, it'll be end of year. I do think there's going to be a very big discussion on, okay, I don't know if we want this guy hiring the next dude because, look what happens. Although on paper, I think we could say all three of us knew when Fickle got hired, thought anyway, it was going to be a very good hire. I know Jim Leonard, we can talk, the Jim Leonard thing, whatever. I think that's a different discussion. But I think
and Fickle offered him a position on the staff, did he not?
He did.
There is rumors about that, but it would have been like co-defensive coordinator with Tressel.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was going to fly with him at all.
No.
But that's the reason why I think McIntosh's seat could be warm, because everything, it's neck and neck. And I do know, again, some of the higher ups, the alumni, some of the people that make those kind of decisions that are at least involved with that bridge definitely was burned a bit. So I do think if the opportunity comes around where, hey, your guy's not performing, you're going to go down on this boat with them.
I would say, I guess, to that point, it would be dependent on how receptive McIntosh is to input on the next hire if they went that route.
Yeah. No, yeah. I just want to throw it out because I know that kind of stuff has definitely been spiraling a little bit. I want to say, too, going back to the whole Fickle thing, I will say I don't think the players are quitting on the team, for the record. I think there's some sort of like a mental block, again, with this team that's going on. That could be what their routine is inside the locker room, outside the locker room, maybe taking care of their bodies not properly or something like that. I do think something is going on in the locker room, but I will say on the field, I'm not going to say that the guys have quit. That's what I'm going to get that off my chest first. Now, going into the Barry Alvarez stuff, it's one thing to say that, kids booing and all that, but I mean, Jake, you kind of harped on it. I think of it as, okay, well, Fickle, like you said, $8 million he gets per year, highest public paid player in the state. I think at the end of the day, I'm personally not going to be the guy in the stands that gets up and boos the shit out of you.
Yeah, I'm not a booer either.
However, I do think the students are justified in saying that. I know Tyler made a pretty good point about the over 30 crowd is a bit spoiled. Well, some of these students, these seniors, they haven't seen a good season yet.
They don't know.
They don't know what that is.
They don't know what the 2011 Badgers look like.
But I am also going to push back on the whole Alvarez thing. Like, but for example, ticket prices are going up. The season ticket prices. Season ticket prices go up, right? I drink Varsity Golden Ale all the freaking time as much as I can to help get a couple dollars in there, right? Clothing, clothing, tickets, packing the restaurants, bars, hotels, tourism, that all plays a part in this whole process. And when Barry makes a comment like that, I can't get on board with that anymore, really, mainly because everybody literally out there on that field is getting paid to play now, too. And I get it. Do we treat kids differently? Maybe. But a lot of these kids are getting tens of thousands of dollars now to go and play football at the end of the day. I get it. There's mental health. There's mental, there's that part of it too. But there's resources for that as well. We got to keep that in mind. At the end of the day, I'm not going to blame students. And I really don't think I'm going to necessarily blame adults either for getting on the train to boo. We're not in a good position. This program's not in a good position right now. I don't see at this point, like, where is exactly it can only go up in my view. That's the thing. It can, after that last game against Maryland, I don't think it can get really much worse than that unless you literally can't score a point and lose 40-0 every game the rest of the way. Yeah. But I get what Barry is saying, because his first three seasons, 1-10, 5-6, 5-6, then he goes 10-1, 10-1 his fourth season. Maybe he's kind of like saying, maybe that's part of the reason why too he's saying something like that. Like, oh, it's only, in his mind, it's like, oh, it's only Coach Fickle's third year. He's going to get it right year 4. Maybe that's why he's making those kind of comments too. I'm just trying to kind of pick his brain a little bit too.
One of the other things we have to make mention of is the fact that they changed offensive coordinators and play styles 2 years after the hire.
mean,
we saw injured quarterbacks and this year as well.
Maybe we can say the same thing with position coaches then. I mean, altogether.
Hold on. I don't understand where Barry's coming from. If we were fucking Alabama, I would be like, yeah, we're spoiled. How many national championships do we have? When's the last time the Badgers won the Rose Bowl? Tell me. Anybody know? 25 fucking years ago. You want to tell me I'm spoiled? We haven't won a goddamn Rose Bowl in 25 years. I was 8 years old, bro. How the hell am I spoiled? I watched us lose 3 in a row. We fumbled 3 in a row. We're the goddamn Bills of the Rose Bowl. We are not spoiled. And it is okay to set standards. It is okay to want to be great. But for you to tell me that I'm spoiled when I spend every damn Saturday, watching this team play, and I spend my money to buy electric and pay for YouTube TV. I go to work to pay for that. Don't tell me I'm spoiled with what I do with my money. You're sitting on a freaking island sipping on your pina coladas all goddamn day. Don't tell me I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
That
interview took place in a steakhouse too, mind you. Okay.
Yeah.
So fancy shit.
I saw it. Don't tell me I'm spoiled. I don't get to eat steak. When's the last time I had steak? Probably the last time they won a fucking Rose Bowl. I'm sorry. That shit pissed me off, dude.
Anything else you guys want to say? There's one specific thing that I want to end on.
No, end it.
You go. No, go. I mean, I said my piece. The reason why I really disagree with it at the end of the day is because we just got to take into account everyone's getting paid, but us, but the fans. We're the consumers. We're paying for the product. We're paying for the product now. At the end of the day, there's no. There's no feel to me. There's no feeling sorry for the kids. There's no more feeling sorry for the coaches or anything like that. There just comes a point, and they are adults now. The fans are essentially paying for the coach, tax dollars. I mean, the tax dollars and the kids for the NIL. So I don't want to hear fans really being spoiled much either. Tyler, I do get your point. I understand it, but I just think at the end of the day, all prices are just getting jacked up everywhere. Kids are getting paid, and the fans are getting
a worse product.
Are getting a shitty product and left in the dust, right? So I just think now that the landscape is just kind of changed in that regard, that's why I ultimately do disagree with what Barry's saying.
Yeah. So the thing that I want to end on, and it's a conversation we've had as far as the way that our show is done and the perspective that we take on it is, I don't want to say people should be happy, but we are at the position with Badger football that people act like they want to be in. People want to act like they want to be in a position of low expectations so that if anything good happens, they can be happy about it. And that's where we're at with Badger football. Because now the expectations are so low that if they pull off an upset, we get to be like, wow, we made an upset. Wow, that's awesome. Versus something that we have said as far as the Packers go, as far as the Bucks go, as far as the Brewers go, all three of those teams are in good positions with great players on them. That the quote that I always go back to, it's from Craig Counsell, who has lost some favor as far as Wisconsin sports go, but it doesn't make the quote any less true or applicable, is that pressure is a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
It is a good thing to have high expectations. Having low expectations and then being raised when you exceed them is not a good place to be in. Nobody of the people that in the world have children would be like, I'm setting the bar low so that you can make me feel good when you go above it. No, we want to have high expectations because we want to believe that we are capable of meeting them and possibly exceeding them. So now the Badgers are going to be a case study potentially. And when we're done with the show today, the three of us are going to have a conversation on how we want to go about the rest of this football season. But we're in a position now where the expectations, if you want to say rock bottom, the only place to go is up. we are in that position where nothing bad that happens should shock anybody if it does. So there should be no whining because everybody should be expecting what could potentially happen. Or if good things happen, we can all be, yay, we beat Iowa 13-10. The good old days are back. That's not what anybody wants. It's not what you should want. You should want to be competing with Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, and Oregon. If they can pull one of those off, awesome. But now we're in that position. We don't want to be in the low expectations position. We want to be in the position where we have high expectations. We want to be able to meet or exceed them. So, yes, Steve, like you said, Steve B., there's a tough schedule coming up. But we don't have to look at it and be like, oh, here we go. We're going to lose another game this week. Just go into it without expectations.
Yeah.
Go into it with the thoughts of whatever happens is going to happen. We'll cross the bridge when we get there, because those are the kind of things that we should be doing anyways, especially when it comes to things like injuries. Jake and I talked earlier about Brandon Woodruff. That is something you don't have to put yourself in the worst case scenario before you know what the scenario is going to be. That's how we are with the Badgers for the rest of the season. You don't have to put yourself through, oh my God, the Badgers aren't going to win another game. Just take it 1 week at a time. So we'll see what happens the rest of the season. We'll see what happens. But I don't love that we're in a position of low expectations and we get to let the results, if they go well, give us a self-esteem boost. We have to be in the position of wanting and being able to have high expectations because we believe that we are capable of meeting and exceeding them. Which doesn't, and this comes with a caveat, it doesn't mean that if you don't meet high expectations, that you are a failure and everything sucks and everybody should be fired, or, you know, that we should have this viewpoint of like I said, that everything sucks. Steve said, I want a sign of growth and trending the right way, which is fine. You should always have the opportunity of wanting to have a growth mindset, regardless of how high your expectations are. You're never going to hear Jake or I or Mike or Simon and Bryant say that we know everything about what we're talking about. You will never hear any of us say it. No matter how much ball knowledge we acquire over however long this show lasts, will you ever hear any of us say that we are going to want to stop learning about the things that we talk about? Because we do this live with the input of audiences and wanting to grow a following, because we want to be able to pass things on to other people. We also understand that there are people that know more about it than us. That's why we bring on guests like Vinny Rattino and Mike Spofford, because they know more than we do. They have different perspectives than we do. We have to be also open to learning and having other perspectives. So take it a week at a time. We'll be back next week. There's no preview this week because the Badgers are on a bye, which is fine. Gives everybody a week to exhale, calm down, chill the fuck out for a little bit, and enjoy the Brewers as they approach the playoffs. So Jake and I will be back next week to discuss that as well. So thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the show to hear us talk about the state of the Badgers. Just take it a week at a time, and we'll see you next week.